She was rejected by everyone in the village until she looked at the cowboy and said, "As my husband, I choose you." The room fell into absolute silence as he slowly lifted his face, and his reaction made everyone hold their breath. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like and comment where in the world you're watching from, because now I'm going to tell you everything. The silence in the lodge was heavy, like a blanket. Lena felt every pair of eyes on her back. She took a deep breath and stepped forward onto the central mat. "For my husband," she said, her voice clear in the quiet room. "I choose you." Her finger did not waver. It pointed straight at the stranger, the quiet man sitting near the doorway with his brown hat in his hands. The man from Texas. A ripple of whispers moved through the crowd like a dry wind. Lena kept her eyes on him. He looked up, his pale blue eyes wide with surprise. The village elders spoke. "Lena, daughter of Ann and Ben, you have named the man called Jack. Do you accept this, Jack, son of Harold?" The man stood up slowly. He was lean and tall, his face kind but tired. I cannot," he said, and the whispers turned to murmurs. He looked at Lena, his eyes full of a deep sadness. "It would not be fair to you. I have a daughter. She is 6 years old. My wife. She died 2 years ago." Lena did not move. She had heard the stories. He had come alone to the gathering, not to trade, but looking for something else. A hope. "I came here," Jack continued, his words slow and careful, "with a prayer to find a mother for my Molly. A kind woman who would understand. I never thought a woman like you would choose a broken man like me." Lena felt the familiar sting, the one that said she was too much, her choice was too bold. The men of her village thought the same. She was 30 years old and alone because she spoke her mind. She looked at this sad cowboy and did not see broken. She saw a good man, heavy with grief. She smiled then, a wide smile that made her face bright. "I did not choose just a man," she said, speaking to Jack but also to the whole listening lodge. "I choose a father. I choose a little girl named Molly. I choose a family." Jack stared at her. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, a single tear traced a path through the dust on his cheek. He nodded once, a firm movement of his head. "Yes," he said, the word rough with emotion. "Yes." The journey to his Texas ranch took many days. They rode in his wagon, the desert of Arizona giving way to wide, flat grasslands that stretched forever. Lena had never seen so much sky. It made her feel small. She missed the solid mountains of her home. Jack was quiet for most of the trip, but his silence was not cold. He would point out a bird or show her how to read the clouds for rain. He was patient. "Tell me about Molly," Lena asked on the third day. A softness came over Jack's face. "She's small, hair like sunshine, always messy. She asks more questions than I have answers. She has a box where she keeps her treasures, rocks and such." He paused. "She is very quiet now, since her mama passed." Lena touched the smooth stone in her dress pocket, her own treasure from home. "I have something for her," she said. They arrived at the ranch as the sun was setting, painting the sky in colors of orange and purple. The house was wooden and sturdy, with a porch that wrapped around the front. A big barn stood nearby, and fields stretched out behind it. It was lonely, but it was a good place. Jack helped Lena down from the wagon. The front door of the house opened just a crack. "Molly," Jack called, his voice gentle. "Come on out." The door opened wider. A little girl stood there, clutching a worn rag doll. Her flyaway blonde hair glowed in the last of the light. Her big blue eyes, so like her father's, looked at Lena with careful curiosity. "Molly," Jack said, kneeling down. "This is Lena. She's come to live with us." Lena knelt too, so she was not so tall. She did not reach out to hug the girl. She just smiled. "Hello, Molly. It is very nice to meet you." Molly looked from her father to Lena and back again. She took one small step forward, then another. She stopped an arm's length away. "Papa said you might come," Molly whispered. "I am here," Lena said simply. Molly looked at her for a long time. Then, she let go of her doll with one hand and held it out. In her palm was a small white quartz stone. "I found this one yesterday. It's for good luck." Lena's heart felt very full. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the dark, smooth stone from her grandmother. She placed it in Molly's other hand. "I brought this one from my home, far away. It is for bravery." Molly looked at the two stones, one in each hand. A tiny smile touched her lips. She closed her fingers around them both and stepped forward, leaning her head softly against Lena's shoulder for just a second before darting back to her father. Jack put a steadying hand on Lena's arm as she stood. The sky was dark now, the first stars appearing. A light shone from the house window. "Welcome home," he said. The morning sun was bright on the flat land. Lena stood on the wooden porch and looked out. The land was very flat. It went on for a long way until the sky touched it. She missed the mountains of her Arizona home. They had been like tall, steady friends. Here, the world felt very big and very open. The door behind her opened. Jack stepped out, holding 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to her. "It is different," Lena said, taking the cup. "It is," Jack agreed. He stood beside her. "Took me a while to get used to it when I first moved here as a boy. Felt like you could see the whole world, and it could see you." Lena sipped the coffee. It was strong. "Where is Molly?" "Still asleep. She was awake a long time last night waiting to hear you come inside." He looked at her. "She likes you." "I like her," Lena said. The truth of it warmed her more than the coffee. "I'll show you the place today," Jack said. "The important parts." The first important part was the chickens. Their coop was behind the house. Molly joined them, her hair a mess of sunshine. She was still in her nightdress. "This is Gertie," Molly said, pointing to a fat brown hen. "She lays the biggest eggs. Sometimes she gets mad." Lena watched as Jack showed her how to scatter the grain. The chickens clucked and pecked around their feet. "Can I show her the horses, Papa?" Molly asked, jumping from one foot to the other. "Sure thing," Jack said. The barn was big and smelled of hay and animals. 3 horses stood in their stalls. A big, calm brown horse, a smaller spotted one, and a pony with a blonde mane. "This is Buck," Jack said, patting the brown horse's neck. "He's steady. This is Patch, and this little one is Buttercup for Molly." Buttercup put her head over the stall door and blew air at Molly, who giggled. "Can Lena ride Buttercup with me?" Molly asked. "Not today," Jack said gently. "Lena needs to meet the cows first." The cows were in a pasture. Jack brought one into a pen. He showed Lena how to sit on the small stool, how to position the bucket, and how to pull gently. "You try," he said. Lena sat on the stool. It felt strange. She reached under the cow. The animal's skin was warm. She tried to copy Jack's movements. Nothing happened. "You have to squeeze, not pull," Jack said, his voice patient. Lena tried again. Her hands felt clumsy. The cow shifted its feet. A small stream of milk hit the side of the bucket with a ping, then stopped. "It is harder than it looks," Lena said, frustration in her voice. "It is," Jack said. "Took me weeks to learn. You did good for a first try." His patience was a quiet thing. Like the land, it was different from the men in her village who would have laughed or told her to let them do it. The day went on like that. He showed her the vegetable garden that needed weeding. He showed her the water pump. He showed her the fence line that always needed mending. So much work. It was a different kind of work than she knew. That night, after a quiet dinner of stew, Molly brought out her tin box. She opened it on the floor between them. "This is my treasure box," Molly said. She pulled out items one by one. A blue jay feather, a smooth green stone, a shiny button, a piece of quartz, and the dark, smooth stone Lena had given her. "See? I put yours right here in the middle." Lena felt a tightness in her throat. "It is a beautiful collection." "Do you have a treasure box?" Molly asked. "I have this," Lena said, touching the pocket of her dress. "But it is empty now. I gave my best treasure to you." Molly thought about this. She picked up the blue jay feather. She held it out to Lena. "Now you have one for your pocket again, so you're not empty." Lena took the feather. "Thank you, Molly." Later, Jack found Lena outside on the porch again. The sky was a deep black filled with more stars than she had ever seen. "You are quiet," he said. "It is a lot," Lena said. "The milking, the fences, the flatness. It is a lot to learn." "You don't have to learn it all in one day," he said. "Or in 1 week." "I want to," she said. "I need to pull my weight." Jack was silent for a moment. You already are, just by being here. Molly hasn't shown that box to anyone since her mama. Lena looked at the feather in her hand. Inside, through the window, she could see Molly sleeping on the sofa, a blanket tucked around her. The little girl's chest rose and fell softly. This was not her mountain home. The work was strange. The land was strange. But inside that house was a little girl who gave away her treasures, and a man whose kindness was as steady as the ground. This was her home now. She would learn the rest. The blue jay feather stayed in Lena's pocket. Every morning when she put on her dress, she felt it there. It was a small, soft reminder. The days began to find a rhythm. Lena's hands learned the work. She could milk the cow now, the steady ping of milk hitting the bucket a satisfying sound. She learned to mend a fence, her fingers growing tough from the wire and the wood. "Today you should try riding," Jack said one morning after chores. He led Buck, the big brown horse, out of the barn. Molly followed, holding Buttercup's lead. "I have ridden before," Lena said. "Not like this," Jack said. "Ranch riding is different. It's for work, not for travel." He showed her how to check the saddle, how to mount. Buck stood very still. Lena got into the saddle easily. The ground seemed far away. "Now, just walk him around the corral. Get used to the feel," Jack said. Lena nudged the horse with her heels. Buck walked forward. The motion was wide and rolling. She held the reins tight. "Loosen up," Jack called. "You're holding him like you're mad at him. He can feel it." Lena tried to relax her hands. Buck walked a little faster. The movement was unpredictable. She bounced in the saddle. Suddenly, Buck turned to avoid a rock Lena didn't even see. She slipped sideways, grabbing for the saddle horn, but it was too late. She landed on the ground with a thud, the air knocked from her lungs. Molly gasped. Jack was at her side in an instant. "Are you hurt?" Lena sat up, dusting off her dress. Her pride hurt more than her body. "I am fine," she said, her voice tight. "Everybody falls," Jack said, offering a hand to help her up. "Not everybody," Lena muttered. She looked at the horse, who was calmly eating grass. She felt foolish. A small hand touched her arm. It was Molly, looking up at her with serious blue eyes. "I fall off Buttercup all the time. Papa says it's the only way to learn not to fall. You have to get back on." Lena looked at the little girl, then at Jack's patient face. She took a deep breath. She took Jack's hand and stood up. She walked right back to Buck and put her foot in the stirrup. She swung back up into the saddle. This time, she held the reins more softly. She let the horse move beneath her. She did not try to control every step. She just rode. Later, she and Molly collected the eggs from the chicken coop. Molly chattered about each hen, which ones were friendly and which ones pecked. She handed the eggs to Lena carefully. "You got back on," Molly said, as if remembering. "I did," Lena said. "That's what my other mama used to say. She said getting back on is the bravest part." Lena stopped, a warm egg in her hand. Molly rarely spoke of her mother. She was very wise. Molly just nodded, moving on to the next nest. That night after Molly was in bed, Lena and Jack sat on the porch. The air was cool. Jack was fixing a loose step on the porch stairs, hammering a nail with sure, quiet taps. "Molly talked about Sarah today," Lena said, "when we were getting eggs." Jack's hammering stopped. He sat back on his heels. "Did she?" "She said her mother thought getting back on was the bravest part." A soft look came over Jack's face. "That sounds like Sarah. She was the strong one. I was always the quiet one, just doing the work. She was the heart of everything." He looked out at the dark pasture. The sickness took her fast, too fast. 1 week she was here, the next she was gone. I didn't have the right words then. I still don't. "You do not always need words," Lena said. Jack looked at her. "What was your home like? Your family?" Lena thought of the dry heat, the sound of her mother's loom. "It was loud and colorful. My mother wove beautiful blankets. My father could track any animal. They thought I asked too many questions. They wanted me to be quieter, to fit in a smaller space. I could not do it. Their loss is my gain," Jack said quietly. He went back to hammering the nail, one final solid tap. "There. Step won't wobble anymore." The next day, Lena took a small patch of dirt near the porch. She cleared the weeds. She had brought a few seeds from Arizona in her small bag. seeds from a hardy, sweet-smelling desert flower. She planted them carefully in the Texas soil. Molly watched. "What are they?" "A piece of my home," Lena said, "so I can remember where I came from while I live here." Molly ran off and came back with the watering can. "They'll need a drink." Together they watered the empty dirt. It was a hope planted in the ground. From inside the house, Jack watched them through the window. For the first time in 2 long years, the house did not feel like it was holding its breath. It just felt like a home. The desert flowers from the seeds Lena planted did not come up. After 2 weeks, there was still just bare dirt. Molly checked it every morning. "Maybe they're shy," Molly said one day, peering at the ground. "Maybe the soil here is different," Lena replied. She pushed the thought away. Some things from her old life would not grow here. That was all right. Other things were growing just fine. It was on a hot afternoon, with the sun high in the sky, that the trouble came. Lena was teaching Molly how to braid a rope on the porch steps. Jack was out by the far pasture checking on a new calf. They heard the horse first, the fast, hard sound of hooves that were not in a hurry but in a rush. A man on a large black horse rode straight into the yard, dust clouding up behind him. He did not stop at the gate. He rode right up to the porch. The man looked like a harder, sharper version of Jack. He had the same sandy hair, but his face was lined with meanness, not sun. His eyes were a pale, cold blue. He looked from Molly to Lena, and his mouth twisted. "Well," the man said, his voice loud, "I heard a story. I didn't believe it, but I see it's true." Lena stood up, putting herself slightly in front of Molly. She said nothing. The man swung down from his horse. "Where's my baby brother?" "Hiding in the house." As if he had heard, Jack walked around the side of the barn. His whole body went still when he saw the man. He walked over slowly, his face careful and blank. "Earl." "Jack," Earl said, smiling a smile that was not friendly. "Came to see your new setup. Heard you got yourself a new wife. Didn't hear she was an Indian." Lena felt the word like a physical touch. She kept her back straight. "What do you want, Earl?" Jack asked. His voice was low. "What do I want?" Earl laughed, a short barking sound. "I want what's mine. This ranch. Papa always liked you best, gave you the land. But I'm the older brother. It should be mine. You're too soft to run it. Always were. And now this?" He jerked his head toward Lena. "You're weak, Jack. Letting a woman like that into our family. It's a disgrace." Jack's hands clenched at his sides, but he did not move. "You need to leave. Now." "Or what?" Earl took a step closer. "You gonna make me? You never could. You're a coward." He looked past Jack to Lena. "He won't fight for you. He doesn't fight for anything. You picked the wrong man, sweetheart." Lena could feel Molly pressed against her leg. She looked at Earl, right into his cold eyes. "This is my home," she said, her voice clear and even. "And Jack is my husband. You are not welcome here." Earl seemed surprised she spoke at all. Then he sneered. "Talkative, ain't you? I bet you are." He turned back to Jack. "This isn't over. You don't belong here. Neither does she." He spat on the ground, right near Jack's boot. Then he turned, mounted his horse in one quick movement, and rode out of the yard just as fast as he had come. The dust slowly settled. The yard was quiet again. Lena let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Molly's small hand found hers. Jack was still staring at the spot where Earl had been. His shoulders were tight. "Who was that man?" Molly whispered. "That," Jack said, turning to them. His face was tired. "That was my brother Earl." They went inside. Jack poured a glass of water but did not drink it. He just held it. "He has always been like that," Jack said, not looking at Lena. "Angry. He wanted the ranch when our father passed. Father gave it to me because Earl, he would have sold it for drinking money in a year. Earl has never forgiven me. He shows up, says these things, tries to get me to fight. I never do. It's what he wants." "Why does he hate me?" Lena asked. "He does not know me." Jack finally looked at her, his eyes sad. "He hates anything that makes me happy, and he's ignorant. He sees your skin, your hair, and that's all he needs to see to hate. It gives him an easy reason." Lena felt a cold feeling in her stomach. It was the same feeling she had in her village, but sharper. What will he do? He'll go back to Cedar Creek, the town nearby. He'll talk. He'll tell his stories. Jack put the glass down. "I'm sorry, Lena. I should have warned you about him." You do not need to be sorry for him, Lena said firmly. He is the one who is wrong. Jack nodded, but he did not seem convinced. He looked out the window toward the road. If we go to town, people might not be friendly. Earl's stories, they stick. Just ignore it. It's easier that way. If we don't react, he'll get bored. Lena heard the words. She saw the worry in Jack's eyes, the fear for her and for Molly. She saw the way he chose to be quiet, to stay still. She wondered if that was always the right way. The desert flowers had not grown in this soil. Maybe some things needed a different kind of weather. A week later, the supplies in the pantry were low. Jack looked at the list Lena had made. We need flour, salt, and some nails, he said. We'll have to go into Cedar Creek. Lena nodded. She had been waiting for this. She wanted to see the town for herself. She put on her best dress, the one with the blue stitching. Molly put on a clean pinafore. The ride into town was quiet. Jack pointed out landmarks. That's the Miller farm, good people. That's the turn for the schoolhouse. But his voice was tense. Cedar Creek was not a big town. It had one main street with wooden buildings. There was a blacksmith, a small hotel, and a general store. A few people walked along the boardwalks. As Jack helped Lena and Molly down from the wagon, Lena felt eyes on them. They walked into the general store. A bell above the door rang. The store was cool and smelled of coffee and leather. A man with a gray mustache stood behind the counter. He was talking to a woman in a yellow dress. They both stopped talking when the door opened. Jack walked to the counter. Morning, Mr. Higgins. Need a few things. Mr. Higgins nodded slowly. His eyes moved past Jack to Lena. Jack, he said. He did not smile. Lena took her list and started to gather items. She felt the woman in the yellow dress watching her. Lena picked up a sack of flour. Excuse me, the woman said, her voice polite but cold. She reached past Lena to take a bag of sugar, as if Lena were not there. Lena moved to the barrel of nails. A man selecting tobacco glanced at her, then leaned over to his friend and said something low. The friend laughed quietly. Molly held on to Lena's skirt. Mama, can I have a peppermint stick? She asked, her small voice loud in the quiet store. Before Lena could answer, the woman in the yellow dress turned quickly. She put a hand on the shoulder of her little boy, who had been looking at Molly. Come away, Thomas, she said. She pulled her son to the other side of the store. Molly's face fell. She looked up at Lena, confused. Jack was at the counter, paying for the supplies. Mr. Higgins was wrapping the items, his movement slow. Earl was in here, Mr. Higgins said, not looking at Jack. Talking about your new situation. Said some things. Jack's back was stiff. Earl says a lot of things. Just be careful, Jack, Mr. Higgins said. He slid the package across the counter. Folks around here, they don't like change much. They walked back out onto the sunny street. Lena held Molly's hand tightly. The warm feeling from the ranch was gone. A cold, heavy feeling sat in her chest. It was the same loneliness she knew from her village, but here it was sharper. There, it was disappointment. Here, it felt like a door being shut in her face. They passed the blacksmith. The blacksmith, a big man with a leather apron, nodded at Jack but did not look at Lena. They were almost to the wagon when a voice called out, Hey, Jack! A younger man with a friendly face walked over. He tipped his hat. Howdy, heard you got married. Congratulations. Thank you, Pete, Jack said, his shoulders relaxing a little. This is my wife, Lena, and you know Molly. Pete smiled at Lena. Pleasure, ma'am. Don't listen to all the gossip. Earl's been flapping his jaws nonstop. Some of us think for ourselves. Lena managed a small smile. Thank you. But as Pete walked away, Lena saw two older women across the street. They were staring right at her, their heads close together, whispering. One of them shook her head. The ride home was silent for a long time. Molly sat between them, unusually still. Finally, Jack spoke. His voice was rough. I'm sorry, Lena. I told you it might be like that. It is not your fault, she said, staring straight ahead at the road. But I should say something. I should make them stop, Jack said, more to himself than to her. What would you say? Lena asked. They have decided what to believe. Your words will not change their minds today. Jack looked helpless. Then what do we do? Lena thought of the woman pulling her son away. She thought of the whispered laugh. She thought of the cold politeness of the storekeeper. "We go home," she said. "We do our work, we live our life." But inside, the hurt was a real physical pain. She had left one place where she did not fit. Now she was in another place where she did not fit. The wall was different, but it was just as high. She held Molly's small hand in hers, feeling the only warmth in a world that suddenly felt very cold. The quiet of the ranch in the days that followed felt heavy. Lena went through the motions of her work, feeding the chickens, milking the cow, helping Molly with her letters. But the mean looks and whispers from Cedar Creek hung around her like a bad smell. She saw Jack watching her with worried eyes. 4 nights after the trip to town, Lena lay awake. The house was silent. Jack and Molly were asleep. She heard the soft call of an owl outside. Then another sound, a sharp crack, like dry wood snapping. Then a low, hungry roar. She sat up. An orange glow flickered against the window. She was out of bed in an instant, running to the window. The barn was on fire. Flames licked up the side of the wood, reaching for the night sky. "Jack!" she yelled, running into his room. "The barn is on fire!" Jack was awake and moving before she finished speaking. He pulled on his boots. "Get Molly, get her out of the house and stay by the water pump." Lena ran to Molly's room. The little girl was sitting up, rubbing her eyes. "Mama, come with me, quick." Lena scooped her up, not letting her put on shoes, and carried her outside into the cool night air. She set her down by the water pump, well away from the barn. "Stay right here. Do not move." The barn was a tower of heat and noise. Jack was already at the doors, throwing them open. The horses were screaming inside. "Buck! Patch! Buttercup!" Jack yelled, his voice cutting through the roar. He ran into the smoky opening. Lena did not hesitate. She tied her shawl over her mouth and ran in after him. The heat was terrible. She could see the shapes of the panicked horses. Jack had Buck by the halter, dragging the big horse toward the door. Lena went to Buttercup's stall. The pony was rearing, her eyes white with fear. "Buttercup, shh," Lena said, forcing her voice to be calm. She reached for the halter. A piece of burning wood fell from the roof, landing close by. Buttercup jerked away, but Lena held on. She pulled, talking softly, and led the terrified animal out into the clean air. She handed the lead to Molly. "Hold her, just hold her tight." Lena went back in. Jack was leading Patch out. The cows were mooing in their pen at the back. "Get the cows," Jack shouted, his voice raw from smoke. "I'll get the chickens." Lena unlatched the gate to the cow pen. She smacked their rumps, herding them out. They stumbled into the yard, confused but safe. Jack emerged with a crate of squawking chickens. They worked together until every animal was out. They stood back, chests heaving, faces black with soot. They watched as the fire ate the rest of the barn. The roof collapsed with a great groaning sigh, sending a shower of sparks into the sky. There was nothing left to do but watch it burn. The first light of morning showed the damage. The barn was a black, smoldering pile of wood. The animals were huddled together in the far pasture, safe but scared. Molly sat on the porch steps, holding her doll, watching her father. Jack walked slowly around the edge of the wreckage. He kicked at a piece of charred wood. Then he stopped. He bent down and picked up a metal can. He sniffed it. His whole body went stiff. Lena walked over to him. "What is it?" He held out the can. The strong, oily smell hit her nose. "Kerosene," Jack said. His voice was a low growl she had never heard before. This was no accident. He looked toward the road, his eyes hard. "Earl." He threw the can down. It clattered on the ground. He turned and started walking toward the house, his steps fast and angry. "Where are you going?" Lena asked, moving to block his path. "To get my horse," Jack said. His face was like stone. "To find him." "You cannot fight him, Jack." "He burned my barn," Jack shouted. The sound made Molly jump on the porch. "He could have killed the animals. He could have hurt you. He will not stop until I make him stop." "Fighting him is what he wants," Lena said, standing firm. "If you go, you will be just like him, angry and violent, and then what? You get hurt? You go to jail? What happens to Molly? What happens to me?" Jack stared at her, his hands clenched into fists. For the first time, the quiet man was gone. A furious, helpless man stood in his place. "Then what do I do, Lena? Let him win? Let him destroy everything we have?" "No," Lena said. Her own heart was pounding, but her voice was steady. "We do not fight his way. We fight a different way." Jack looked at the ruined barn, then at Lena's soot-streaked face. The fight seemed to drain out of him, leaving only a deep, tired pain. "How?" he whispered. "I do not know yet," Lena admitted. "But I will think of something." The next morning, Lena saddled Buck. Jack stood by the corral fence, his face a mask of worry. "You don't have to do this," he said. "Yes, I do," Lena said, tightening the saddle strap. "If I do not, the wall will just get higher. I am tired of walls. They might not listen. They might say cruel things." "They have already done that," Lena said. She mounted the horse. "Staying here will not change their minds. This might not either, but I have to try." Molly ran out of the house. She held up the dark, smooth stone from her treasure box. "For bravery," she said. Lena took the stone and put it in her pocket with the blue jay feather. She touched Molly's cheek. "Thank you. Look after your father." She rode out of the yard, not letting herself look back at Jack's troubled face. The ride to Cedar Creek felt long. The flat land seemed to watch her. When she reached the main street, she rode Buck right to the center of town, near the water trough. It was mid-morning. People were out doing their chores. She stopped her horse and dismounted. She stood there, waiting. One person noticed her, then another. They stopped walking. They came out of the shops. Soon, a small crowd had gathered in a loose circle around her. She saw the woman in the yellow dress. She saw Mr. Higgins from the store. Their faces were not friendly. Lena took a deep breath. She thought of the stone in her pocket. She did not shout. She spoke in a voice that was clear and strong, so everyone could hear. "My name is Lena. I am Jack's wife." Someone in the crowd snorted. She ignored it. "I am from an Apache village in Arizona. It is far from here. The land is different. The mountains are tall. I came here because I chose Jack. I chose his daughter, Molly. I chose to be their family." The crowd was silent now, watching her. "I learned to milk a cow. I learned to ride a horse. I fell off, but I got back on. I help with the ranch work. I love my husband. I love my little girl." Her voice wavered for just a second, but she steadied it. "I want to be a good neighbor. I want to be part of this town." The woman in the yellow dress crossed her arms. "Your brother-in-law says different," a man called out. "Says you're trouble." "Earl is a man who burns barns," Lena said directly. The crowd stirred. "Last night our barn was set on fire. Animals could have died. A can of kerosene was left behind. Jack found it. Earl did this because he is full of hate. He hates Jack. He hates me. He wants you to hate me too." "That's a serious accusation," said an older man stepping forward. He had a silver star pinned to his vest. "Sheriff Bill." "It is not an accusation. It is the truth," Lena said, looking at the sheriff. "Jack did not want me to come here. He wanted to fight. I told him no. Fighting only makes more fire. I came to ask for something else." "What's that?" the sheriff asked. His eyes were sharp, but not unkind. "A chance," Lena said, turning to look at the faces in the crowd. "Just a chance, to show you who I am, to be a good wife and mother, to be a person you can say hello to on the street." She paused. "The fire did not just burn our wood, it burned our safety. We have a little girl who is scared. I am asking you to see past Earl's words and see the truth." The crowd was quiet. Some people looked at the ground, some exchanged glances. The woman in the yellow dress uncrossed her arms, her face thoughtful. Sheriff Bill walked up to Lena. He took off his hat. "Ma'am, that took grit," he said quietly. "Earl's been a thorn in this town's side for years, always causing problems. But burning a man's barn, that's a crime. I will look into this. I give you my word." Lena nodded, a lump in her throat. "Thank you. As for the rest of you," the sheriff said, turning to the people, "you heard her. Judge a person by their own actions, not by the poison someone else is pouring." The crowd began to drift away, talking in low voices. Lena turned back to Buck, her legs feeling shaky. She had climbed up on the wall. She did not know if she had gotten over it, but she had put her hands on top and pulled herself up to see the other side. For now, that was enough. Sheriff Bill came out to the ranch 2 days later. He arrived in a simple buggy, dust kicking up behind him. Jack and Lena were working to clear the burned wood from the barn site. Molly was stacking smaller pieces of charred lumber in a pile. The sheriff tipped his hat. "Jack, Lena." Jack straightened up, wiping his hands on his pants. "Sheriff, what can we do for you?" "Came to give you some news." Sheriff Bill said, stepping down. About Earl. Lena put down the board she was carrying. Molly came to stand beside her. What about him? Jack asked, his voice tense. Caught him last night, the sheriff said. Over at the Henderson place, trying to run off with 3 of their calves, red-handed. Old man Henderson heard the noise and got me. Jack let out a long, slow breath. Lena felt a knot in her stomach begin to loosen. When I questioned him about your fire, Sheriff Bill continued, he got real angry, started yelling, said a lot of things. Said you didn't deserve the ranch. Said a lot of ugly things about your family, Lena. It was enough for me. He's sitting in a jail cell in Cedar Creek right now. He'll be there for a good, long while. Thank you, Jack said, the words filled with relief. Don't thank me. Thank your wife here, the sheriff said, nodding at Lena. She got people thinking. After she spoke, folks started talking. They remembered all the trouble Earl's caused. The arguments, the missing tools, the general meanness. They started to see his lies for what they were. Henderson was watching his cattle extra close because of all the talk. Lena felt Jack's eyes on her. She kept her gaze on the sheriff. What will happen now? He'll face a judge for the theft and for the fire. He won't be bothering you again. The sheriff put his hat back on. I also came to say, some folks in town are feeling right ashamed of how they acted. You might see some faces out here soon, wanting to make things right. The sheriff left. Jack, Lena, and Molly stood in the quiet yard. He's gone, Jack said softly. For now, Lena said. But the heavy fear that had lived with them since Earl's first visit was gone. The next morning, it happened. A wagon rolled into the yard, driven by Pete, the friendly man from town. Another wagon followed, and then 2 men on horses. They carried lumber, hammers, and saws. Pete jumped down. Morning. Heard you could use some hands raising a new barn. Jack was speechless. He just looked at the men in the wood. Lena stepped forward. We could, thank you. More people came over the next few days. Mr. Higgins from the store brought a crate of nails. The woman in the yellow dress, whose name was Mary, came with her husband. She brought a basket of bread and jam. I am sorry for my behavior, Mary said to Lena, her cheeks pink. It was unchristian. I let an angry man do my thinking for me. Lena accepted the basket. Thank you for the bread and for coming. Mary nodded, and then she went to help stack lumber. Lena worked alongside them. She saw how Jack slowly began to talk with the men, pointing out where posts should go. She saw Molly handing out cups of water to the workers. One afternoon, Lena was holding a board steady for Pete to saw. He wiped his forehead. You know, he said, it was brave what you did, standing up in the square like that. Most people wouldn't have. I was scared, Lena admitted. That's what makes it bravery, Pete said with a smile. He went back to sawing. At the end of the day, the frame of the new barn stood tall and strong against the sky. It was just a skeleton, but it was solid. The townspeople packed up their tools. We'll be back tomorrow to get the walls up, Pete said. As the wagons left, Jack stood with Lena, looking at the new structure. The setting sun painted the fresh wood a warm gold. They came, Jack said, wonder in his voice. Because of you. No, Lena said, taking his hand. They came because you are their neighbor, and because it was the right thing to do. Molly slipped her hand into Lena's free one. It's going to be a good barn, she said. For the first time in a long time, the air around them felt light, full of the sound of saws and helpful voices instead of silence and fear. The wall was coming down, one piece of lumber at a time. The new barn rose fast with so many hands helping. In 3 days, the walls were up and the roof was on. It stood straight and strong where the old blackened pile had been. The people from Cedar Creek had done more than build a barn. They had built a bridge. On the 4th day, Lena decided to tackle the house. The bright spring sun streamed through the windows, showing every speck of dust. She wanted to clean the attic. What's an attic? Molly asked, following her to the pull-down ladder in the hallway. It is a space under the roof, Lena explained, where people keep things they do not use every day. Like a big treasure box? Molly's eyes widened. Exactly like that, Lena said with a smile. She pulled the cord and the ladder unfolded. She climbed up into the dim, stuffy space. The attic was full of old things covered in sheets of dust. There was a broken chair, a trunk, and several wooden crates. Molly climbed up behind her, sneezing. "Stay close," Lena said. "The floor is strong, but we must be careful." They started with the trunk. It was full of old clothes, a woman's dresses, a man's Sunday suit. Lena held up a small, delicate dress with lace on the collar. "That's pretty," Molly whispered. "I think this was your mother's," Lena said softly. "When she was a little girl, like you." Molly touched the lace with a careful finger. They moved to the crates. One held old books, another held china dishes carefully wrapped in newspaper. The last crate was smaller. Lena lifted the lid. It held a few baby toys, a small pair of boots, and a bundle of letters tied with a faded blue ribbon. Lena's hands were dusty. She wiped them on her apron before picking up the bundle. She sat down on the floor of the attic. Molly sat beside her. The top letter had a name on it. Asterisk for Jack. "This is for your father," Lena said. The handwriting was neat and flowing. She felt a strange sense that she should not open it. But the ribbon was loose, and the letter on top was not sealed in an envelope. It was just folded paper. She opened it carefully. The date at the top was from 2.5 years ago. Asterisk. "My dearest Jack, if you are reading this, then I am gone. The doctor came today and said the words I have been fearing. There is not much time left." Lena's breath caught. She stopped reading out loud. Her eyes scanned the rest of the page, her heart beating fast. Asterisk. "Do not be sad for too long. You have a beautiful life ahead of you, and our beautiful Molly. You must live it. You must be happy again. I know you. You will think you should be alone. You will think it is wrong to love someone else. Please do not think that. My greatest wish is for you to find a good love again, a true partner, for you and for our daughter. Find someone with a kind heart. Find someone with a strong spirit. I hope she is brave. I hope she has a fearless heart. She will need it to love a wonderful man like you and to raise our bright girl. Give Molly all my love. Tell her stories about me. But make new stories too. Happy ones. With all my love, forever. Sarah Asterisk." Tears blurred the words on the page. They fell from Lena's eyes, leaving dark spots on the old paper. She cried for the woman she would never meet. She cried for the love that had been lost. She cried because the words "fearless heart" felt like a key turning in a lock inside her own chest. "Mama?" Molly's small voice was worried. "Why are you crying? Is it a sad letter?" Lena pulled Molly into a hug, the letter still in her hand. "They are happy tears," she whispered, her voice thick. "It is a very happy, very kind letter. From your mother. She loved you so much." "What does it say?" "It says that she wanted your father to be happy. It says she wanted him to find someone to help him, someone kind and strong." Lena looked at the words again. Asterisk, a fearless heart. "She wanted someone just like you," she said to Molly, touching her nose. "And she wanted someone to love your father, someone like me." Molly thought about this. She leaned her head against Lena. "She would like you." Lena held the girl and the letter. She looked around the dusty attic full of the past, but the words in her hand felt like a gift meant for the present, a blessing sent forward through time. She heard Jack's voice from outside, talking to Pete about the barn doors. She carefully folded the letter and retied the ribbon. She would show him when he came in. She would let Sarah's words do what they were meant to do, heal the last bit of sadness and make their family feel complete. Lena heard the front door open and close. Jack's boots made a familiar sound on the floorboards. She wiped her eyes once more, took Molly's hand, and climbed down the attic ladder. Jack was washing his hands at the kitchen basin. He turned, a tired but peaceful look on his face. "The doors are hung, barn's all but finished." "Jack," Lena said, her voice was soft. "Sit down, I have something to show you." He saw the tears that had dried on her cheeks. He saw the old bundle of letters in her hand. His face changed. He pulled out a chair at the kitchen table and sat. Molly stood beside Lena, unusually quiet. Lena placed the bundle in front of him. She pointed to the name on the top letter. "We found these, in the attic." Jack stared at the handwriting. His own hands, still damp, trembled slightly as he reached for them. He untied the blue ribbon. He opened the first letter, the one Lena had read. Lena watched his face as he read. She saw his eyes move across the page. She saw his jaw tighten. She saw his eyes fill with tears. He read it once, then again. A quiet sob broke from him. He put a hand over his mouth, his shoulders shaking. Molly ran to him, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Don't be sad, Papa." He pulled her onto his lap, holding her close, the letter in his other hand. He looked at Lena, his eyes shining. "I never knew she wrote this. I never knew." "She wanted you to be happy," Lena whispered. He nodded, unable to speak for a moment. He kissed the top of Molly's head. Then he read a line out loud, his voice rough. Asterisk, "I hope she has a fearless heart." He looked at Lena, really looked at her. "She saw you, before I ever did." Lena's tears came again. "She loved you both so much." "She would have loved you," Jack said. He reached out his hand across the table. Lena took it. He held on tight. This feels like a blessing, like she's giving us her permission, her blessing." "It is," Lena said. They sat there for a long time, the three of them, holding on to each other in the quiet kitchen. The past and the present finally made peace. A week later, the new barn was completely finished. It stood strong and proud, its wood still smelling fresh and clean. The animals were back in their stalls. That evening, after the chores were done, Jack brought 3 chairs out onto the porch. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in colors of pink and orange over the flat land. The air was warm and gentle. Jack sat in one chair. Lena sat in another. Molly did not sit in the third chair. She climbed onto Lena's lap and leaned back against her. Lena wrapped her arms around the little girl. They watched the sky change colors. The first star appeared, a tiny point of bright white. "It's a good barn," Jack said. "It is," Lena agreed. "Better than the old one." "Stronger," she said. Jack was quiet for a while. "I was thinking," he said, "maybe next week we could all go into town together, get some ice cream at the soda fountain, as a family." Molly sat up straight. "Really?" "Really," Jack said, smiling. "I would like that," Lena said. The thought of walking down the street without whispers, without mean looks, felt like a new kind of freedom. Molly relaxed back against Lena. She played with the fabric of Lena's sleeve. "Mama?" she asked, her voice sleepy. "Yes, my treasure." "Are you happy here?" Lena looked at the new barn. She looked at Jack's calm, smiling face. She felt the warm weight of the child in her arms. She thought of the letter and the words, asterisk, fearless heart, asterisk. "Yes," she said, and it was the truest word she had ever spoken. "I am home, and I am happy." Jack reached over and took her hand. They sat like that as the last of the light faded, and the stars filled the big Texas sky above them. The future was not something to fear anymore. It was just the next day, and the next, waiting for them to live it together.